Welcome to our next instalment of B Corp Month with GoodFX. I've got Iain Audus here from Temple, Head of Sustainability. Great person to be talking to about all this. It's great to have you, Iain. Let's just start with a bit about yourself and a bit about Temple.
Brilliant, thank you. Thanks for having me, and good afternoon. A little bit about Temple then. So we're a privately owned SME. We are UK based and we work largely in the infrastructure environment and construction. So we do environmental sustainability planning around the infrastructure construction environment. So that might be work pre-planning, looking at environmental impacts of projects, or during the construction phase itself, and also post-construction phase to see what the impacts are. So our business is basically set up to assess the environmental and social impacts of schemes that other people are producing, and wherever we can, we're looking to either eliminate negative harm, eliminate the negative impacts, or to mitigate for them, because sometimes you can't eliminate them. And then, the thing I think that's changed dramatically over the last few years is the positive impact. Is where can we add value? Where can we have a positive impact as much as possible? And I think that's the big one for me in my career that's changed over the years, moving away from a kind of like a risk issue of how do we minimise the negative into what are the opportunities and where can we add value. Along those lines, our business, about 3 years ago, fully committed to being purpose-driven. Now, again, every business is purpose-driven, but when we talk about that, we're really talking about being socially and environmentally purpose-driven. So that's what we do, that's what we're all about. And in the B Corp world, that puts us into the category of being an impact business model. So everything we're doing is striving to have some social and environmental impact. In our business, we simplify it really, really down to basic level of zero harm and net gain. How can we eliminate harm? How can we have gain? That's what we try to do.
Yeah, nice. It's quite refreshing because you hear a lot of, when you go to impact events, you see a lot of analytics companies. It's all about data that will help you account for it and measure it. But that's totally different from saying, okay, we'll do that, but then reduce and improve and have a positive difference, not just show you the data.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating because the data is essential. Actually, one of the things we have to do as a business in our field, because again, we're environmental sustainability professionals, vocational jobs that people are in, and a lot of what we've done has always been intrinsic value, or just because it's the right thing to do. That's just how people operate in our field. And yet the external view, very much the ESG world, has come in with this data modelling, and it's saying, well, we're financiers and we want to know what this looks like in numbers because that's what we're used to dealing with. And it's not a problem because it's great. It's a great way to normalise the impact you're having and to understand the impact you're having. And it's a really important thing. So one of the challenges we have as a business is how do we get better at representing our impact in that way, in a data way, so that we can put that into the terms that people understand and can acknowledge, but also not lose the other side of it. So again, if you're talking to an ecologist about why they're protecting a bat, it's not about a number on a spreadsheet. It's a very passionate, different intrinsic value that bat has, and also how do you represent all the different levels of impact that one individual species may have. So like an oak tree will sustain 10,000 other species, for instance, in its lifetime, and all the chain of ecology that it's connected to. So how do you measure that? Well, it's pretty hard to do on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I think that goes to the heart of the question around B Corps at the moment, when people are saying, is B Corp being co-opted by the mainstream and everything like that? It all comes back to intention for me, that if you're there with the right intention and you're going for it, that's what B Corp is about. And anybody just starting out, as long as their intentions are right, you can cut them a bit of slack as well. And that's sometimes controversial, but I think, and very hard to quantify. How do we quantify your intentions? But I think we're aligned on that. And do you find, is it beneficial to people when you're going out to tender? Do people recognise that they say, oh, you're a B Corp, we prefer to work with you? Do you see that benefit in the processes?
Not so much in our sector, not yet. It hasn't connected into our sector. One of the things we've been doing the last year is working with one of our partners or consultants that we work with, a geotech company, they're called Yellow Sub, and they are B Corps as well. And we've been doing some sessions with them to raise the profile in our sector because it isn't understood. The sector's very, very knowledgeable about measuring sustainability and measuring environmental impact and social impact and things like that, and understanding where people are. But it's still very much in previous sort of incarnations of models, so things like ISO standards and things like that, or we have to do a lot of pre-qualifications where we'll fill in answer maybe 200 questions about our environmental performance and things like that, where you're tempted to just say, here's our impact report.
Yeah.
So it's and that's what we've been talking to. We've been talking to some of the clients there, so national, local government, and people like that, and trying to get them to put B Corp onto their tender process, and to hold that as being a credible part of the tender process.
Yeah, and I'm sure as the collective grows within your industry, if there's only two of you at the moment, there's it will grow in the UK, and that collective pressure.
Yeah, there are a few more. I don't want to dismiss all the others. I was going to say that us two work together because we work together quite well anyway, and it's fruitful, existing relationships. But there will be others. But it is a challenge in our sector, and I think when you said about being co-opted by some of the big organisations, I think it's an interesting take because we are service providers working in particular sectors, and I think for me, one of the things I've it's been really refreshing is that a lot of the B Corps are very different sectors and very different products and small manufacturing organisations, which are very different areas where we're used to working in. The service industries that are in B Corps as well tend to be very different to ours. And I think, as it starts to grow, as you mentioned, starts to get taken on by other organisations and understood better by other organisations, then it will put us in good stead in our industry. But I also think, sort of segueing on slightly from that as great as B Corp is, that was never the driver for us. It was about being purposeful and about using tools and techniques that fit us. And the B Corp model is really, really good, and the movement's a really positive one, and it fit really well with what we were trying to achieve. But I wouldn't say that there's a definitive sort of marketing goal out of being a B Corp or anything for us as a business.
No, it just happened. It was a glove that fitted, perhaps.
Yeah, very good fit.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to save myself from poor metaphors of gloves and what have you. So I think that's a great place to pause and say thank you very much, Iain, for the snapshot on Temple. It sounds like great work you're doing, and we'll have a look at Yellow Sub as well in the future.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much. Thanks for chatting. Really interesting. Cheers.
Thanks.